Welcome back to the channel, and this is Operation Overhaul. Today we're working on a 2008 HHR where we're going to do the spark plugs, inner and outer tie rods, so stay tuned. The first thing we need to do is remove the engine cover / airbox assembly. To do this, you'll need to loosen the hose clamp around the throttle body, pull the hose that goes to the valve cover off, and lift it up to free it from the grommets. As you can see, there is also a connector under the cover portion that can be a little harder to see. I forgot about it being there and did not notice it until I lifted the cover up. With the airbox out of the way, disconnect the connectors going to each coil by pushing down on the tab that's on top of the connector. Then each coil will be held in place by a 10mm bolt. Once removed, just pull up on the coils and they should just come right out. You may have to wiggle them a little bit to break the seal around the plugs. I then use a long 5/8 spark plug socket with a short extension and break them all loose by hand in case any of them are cross-threaded. With them loose, I run them out with my impact driver to speed things up. When installing them, I put a little bit of anti-seize on the thread to keep them from sticking to the head for the next tune-up. As you can see, I like to thread them in by hand to ensure that they are going in good without any issues. After they are hand tied, I go back and finish them with the ratchet. Install the coils next. I forgot to show me putting dielectric grease on the first one, but then I showed it on the rest. Finally, install the bolts, tighten them, and put the connectors back on. Once completed, I noticed the throttle body was a little dirty, so I cleaned it up and wiped a few things down in the process before installing the air cleaner in the reverse order of removal. Now you have completed the spark plug change, we can move on to the tie rod ends. Make sure you jack the car up and place a jack stand under the car if you don't have a lift as a precaution. Once the car is up and the tire is off, we can start removing the tie rods. I broke the outer tie rod nut loose first, then I moved the gem nut before taking the tie rod nut off completely because these can be pretty tight and it's easy to do it at this point. I removed the nut completely and hit it on the flats of the spindle around the tie rod to free it up. When I saw the shaft was free, I tapped it with a hammer on the end just to push it out of the tapered hole. I had to use 2 wrenches to remove the tie rod nut as it was dirty and corroded around the threads. Make sure to mark the jam nut location with a marker or paint pen to get your alignment within the ballpark so you can drive it to an alignment shop after this repair. Now take the jam nut off completely so you can remove the boot around the inner tie rod. This is accomplished by removing the squeeze clamp on the front and crimp clamp on the back. I just use the pliers on the front, use a small punch or screwdriver, and cut the band on the back portion. Sometimes they can stick, so I use a small pick to break it loose and slide it off. This part requires a special tool that removes the inner tie rod. It uses a crowfoot basically that goes around the notches of the tie rod and has this long tube that attaches to it with a 1/2 inch ratchet adapter on the end. They can be pretty tight, so I use a long ratchet for some leverage. See if the new parts are the same length, and if they are, just transfer the marks to the new ones and it should be enough to get you to the shop for an alignment once you have finished. My tie rods came with grease to put around the ball joint portion and a zip tie rather than a crimp clamp on the back. The installation is just the reverse of the removal procedure, other than the outer tie rod has a cotter pin that goes through it. So if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And until next time, y'all have a great day.